Hey, we welcome in today Kyle Moore. Kyle will be managing the AA Bowie Bay Sox this year. As like some players, he moves up as well, was managing at High A Aberdeen last year and has been for 4 years through last season, a manager on the Oriole Farm system, and was the manager in Delmarva when they won 90 games in 2019, one of the best seasons in minor league history for a team. So Kyle, you got to be excited about Bowie, man. Great people there. Great brand of baseball at AA. You got to be excited for what is in your future in a few weeks and months.
Yeah, no question. Super excited. Just a really nice challenge for me professionally, and also just really excited that the organization has entrusted me to go there and manage this club, for them. So can't wait to get there. Can't wait to get baseball started. And I was a coach back there once, 2015. So a little bit familiar with the place, but it's been a while, and I just can't wait to get back up there.
That was a pretty good year,
Yeah, it
2015.
was. No, yeah, we had a really good team. Yeah.
Eastern League champions. So Kyle, I jotted a few names, and again, fans are aware of this too. The minor league rosters are certainly not set now. We can project and make guesses. I can. You probably shouldn't, because you got bosses who will handle that. But guys like J.D. Mundy, Jordan Westberg, Gunnar, Henderson, Zach Peak, Brandon Young, Garrett Stallings. I just wrote down 6 names, and there'll certainly be more of guys who you managed extensively last year that also could be part of the Bay Sox in 2022. What does it mean, Kyle, for a staff and a manager if you, like the players, go up? You have some continuity year to year with some of these guys.
Yeah, we do. I mean, that's a benefit for sure of going up with the players. Been fortunate to move a level a year. And I just think that when you're trying to create a culture in the clubhouse and just create a culture, on a ball club, that familiarity really helps with expectations, and just so that the players know exactly what I expect as a manager, and the expectations are really high. And from the very beginning, everyone knows that. So accountability also factors in. There's no guesswork with accountability, and what are they going to expect the manager to hold me accountable on? A lot of these guys are already going to know what I stand for. And then I think also you got to throw in psychological safety, because of the elite relationship that I've developed with these guys over time. I'd like to think that they feel as though they can come in and tell me anything. And when that's truly the case, as a manager, you can kind of keep your finger on the pulse a little bit better when you have a lot of psychological safety, and nobody's really walking on eggshells. Rather, they're just right to the manager, and we have to develop those elite relationships so that we can have those 3 things: culture, accountability, psychological safety. And that's kind of what I've kind of built this progression on, and hopefully that'll be no different in Bowie.
Wow, that's interesting. I've never heard that phrase, psychological safety, but I guess another way of saying comfort level, trusting each other. All these things are important in a clubhouse in professional baseball, and are meaningful. And we can put a stat on everything in baseball, but maybe that's one area we can't. But yet it is important to the manager being as good as he can be, and players getting all that they can be.
No question. I just think that's the big area where you can't put a metric on right now is clubhouse. What's it like in there? Are guys selfish? Are they unselfish? Do they pick up after themselves? Are they truly playing for each other and playing to help each other, or are they just concerned about themselves? So those are all things that we stand for, and over the whole organization, not just our teams, but hopefully, it's a great culture in Bowie, and it's a great learning environment.
And that's one of the mysteries about baseball. What makes that culture great? Because that counts for something at all levels, especially in the major leagues. I've seen close-knit Oriole teams that might do more than we think, and that close-knit, is part of it. And Kyle, if you could write a book on how to create that, you could retire tomorrow from baseball and just wait for the checks to roll in. But because there is no handbook, right? But when you have it, you have it. I mean, over the years, have you learned any things that help create that?
Oh yeah, a lot. I mean, I've studied other coaches in other sports, read books about it, and then also just try to apply everything I know from what I learned from playing and coaching to that culture creation. I mean, I think that there's no detail that's too small when it comes to that. And one thing that first comes to mind is with me is how your collisions are created in your clubhouse and in your facility. And if you have individual groups of players that are allowed to just sort of come and go as they please without creating a collision, which eventually leads to a difficult conversation or a great conversation, I think it's really beneficial. So that's just one small detail, but no, absolutely. I wish I could write that book, but maybe in a few years I'll be able to. I can't write it right now though, so I ain't close to retiring. But no detail goes left unturned when it comes to me with culture. It's not something that you can force. It's not something that you can dump on somebody and say, look what we dumped out, culture. But I do think it is something that you can develop and it's something that you can sort of harvest.
At a time where we hear so much about the Orioles and the improvements they've made in data and analytics, technology, all these things are big. When you talk to the people above you in the front office, do they talk about some of the things you just mentioned, creating a winning clubhouse culture?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think it starts, with Matt Blood. When you talk about a front office person, Matt Blood is aware of culture as anybody I've ever been around, and that's a big big pillar of our organization. So um, he certainly talks a lot about it, and we have dialogue between each other about it. So that's probably our biggest uh, you know culture culture development staff person in the front office. As far as the other parts of the front office go, that I think they just serve different roles and other things that we certainly talk about a lot. But Matt Blood and I and the other managers do talk an awful lot about culture.
And getting to talk to so many of you guys over the years and know guys like you and Buck Britton, I think so many things impressed me about you two and others, including, the biggest job you have is player development. That trumps everything. And you're moving players up, making them better, and getting them to win one day in Baltimore. Along the way, you want to win as the team in Aberdeen or Bowie today if you're playing. Why else are you playing the game? So that balancing act is tough, but I think you guys have done it enough that you kind of have a handle on it, and winning is important to you.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is important. I mean, I definitely don't think it's at the top of the list because it's about creating an elite learning environment so that the players understand what process it's going to take to win when they get to Camden. But I also am not, I'm not naive enough to think that we're going to just not care about winning the game and then go up to Camden and win the AL East. I just don't think that's possible, right? So there has to be a little bit of a middle ground there. You have to learn how to win, and I think winning is important. I think when you expect to win every game, when you go out, there's a different vibe in your clubhouse when you walk out of the clubhouse ready to play at 7:05, and you really do believe you're going to win every night. There's something to that. And if we were to just ignore that or just sort of push it away, I think we'd be making a big mistake, which we don't. And so we are about the process, and it is about creating a elite learning environment. That's our number one. That's our top, our top line. But if we do the right things, we should win some ball games.
And when you have a winning team, all of a sudden a tie game in the seventh inning, it becomes vital to those individual players to bunt that guy up or to hit the cutoff man or to do something to win 90 feet. And that's development.
No question. No question. I always say, because not a lot of these games in the minor leagues have huge consequences like they do in the big leagues, I always hate to see us play bad and win. If we're going to play bad, I want us to get our tail beat, because if we're going to miss a cutoff, I want it to burn us, because I want that guy the very next night to hit the cutoff and win a one-run game and get the guy over and then get the guy in. So I think that's the biggest thing with the minor leagues. You can sit back in the dugout and say, man, that's really going to burn us right there. And we're going to review it on film tomorrow. But whereas, in that environment, wins and losses aren't king. So you can do that, and you can be a little more relaxed when a coaching moment presents itself, as opposed to just really being upset that you didn't hit the cutoff and you lost money and standings and all that. It's a little different in the minor league. So, that's why I do it. That's why a lot of us do it, is to develop those very moments that you just talked about. How do you get a guy over? How do you get a cutoff? How are you going to defend a certain play? And how are you going to never take a pitch off?
Kyle, last thing, the Orioles are getting a lot of accolades for their minor leagues right now. #1 ranking, #4, #2, all these rankings are great. Top 100 players and so forth. Within that, and you see it day to day as much as anyone, what are the Orioles doing well right now in player development?
Well, I would say there's a bunch of stuff we're doing well. I mean, not to that might come across as arrogant, but there's a lot of things we're doing well. And the #1 thing that we're doing well is the quality of player that we're developing is a really good player compared to other places. I think there's a lot of communication and collaboration amongst all departments, which is certainly facilitating a lot of this development that you're seeing. But I think with all that, it's hard for me to put my finger on one thing that we're doing really well. But as I look back at it, maybe like from a player's perspective, the one thing that we do 100% is if you play well, you go up, no questions. If you play well, if you produce, you get promoted, and there's no blockage and there's no log jam and all that. So I think that sends a clear and direct message to the players that your career is in your hands. We're here to help you and develop you, and we'll give you everything you need. And some stuff you don't think you need, but you really do need it. But if you play well in this organization right now with the opportunities that are here, you will go up, and that's powerful.
Exciting stuff, man. I've enjoyed chatting with you today, and I think the fans can see the passion you bring to that dugout every night, and how it's going to help a lot of kids in Bowie this year, and it's helped kids in other places on the farm in previous years. So, and you're coming to us from Sarasota. You're sending warm thoughts through the computer screen, so that feels good. Hey, Kyle, have fun on the fields in Sarasota in a couple of weeks when the minor league spring starts. And thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.